Hey everyone, today on People Now, Oprah Winfrey opens up about moments that changed her life, including the 2 episodes of her talk show that changed everything. It's all in this week's People Cover story.
Beyoncé's dad opens up about his battle with breast cancer and the stigma of shame.
Gwen Stefani revealing how 4 years with Blake Shelton have been healing for her.
I feel bad for him. I did reach out to him to kind of, let him know that I'm there for him if he needs me.
Corey Feldman offers support to his marriage boot camp co-star Aaron Carter after his recent troubling revelation.
Bachelor Nation favorite Andi Dorfman is trading in those roses for some running shoes in the New York City Marathon.
It's all live today on People Now. Let's go.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to People Now. Wednesday, we're halfway through. There's a lot to get to today, and we begin on a very serious note. Matt Lauer is denying the allegation that he raped his former NBC News colleague Brooke Nevils. The ousted Today co-anchor penned a lengthy letter Wednesday morning obtained by Variety after the magazine published details from Ronan Farrow's catch and kill, lies, spies, and a conspiracy to protect predators.
Now, a warning to our viewers that the following includes some graphic details. So in the upcoming book, Nevils alleges that Lauer anally raped her in his hotel room at the 2014 Sochi Olympics. In the letter, Lauer, who was fired in November of 2017 due to Nevils' complaint, said he stayed mostly silent for the past 2 years to protect his family. He now calls his silence a mistake, adding, in a new book, it is alleged that an extramarital but consensual sexual encounter I've previously admitted having was in fact an assault. It is categorically false, ignores the facts, and defies common sense. Lauer goes on to say, I had an extramarital affair with Brooke Nevils in 2014. It began when she came to my hotel room very late one night in Sochi, Russia. We engaged in a variety of sexual acts. We performed oral sex on each other. We had vaginal sex and we had anal sex. Each act was mutual and completely consensual. That was his quote. People is out to Nevils for comment.
In Farrow's book out October 15th, he interviews Nevils, marking the first time the full details of her allegations have been made public. In Nevils' account, according to Variety, she was tasked in Sochi with working with former Today co-anchor Meredith Vieira, who'd been brought back to the show to do Olympics coverage. They ran into Lauer at the hotel bar one night.
At the end of the night, Nevils, who had had 6 shots of vodka, ended up going to Lauer's hotel room twice. Once to retrieve her press credential, which Lauer had taken as a joke, and the second time because he invited her back. Again, this is according to Variety's account of Farrow's new book out October 15th. Once she was in his hotel room, Nevils alleges in the book that Lauer kissed her, then pushed her onto the bed and asked if she liked anal sex.
According to Variety, Farrow writes that Nevils said she, quote, declined several times, but he allegedly, quote, just did it. Nevils reportedly claims the encounter was painful and that she, quote, bled for days. She reportedly tells Farrow in the book it was non-consensual in the sense that I was too drunk to consent. It was non-consensual in that I said multiple times that I didn't want to have anal sex. Neville says in the book that she had more sexual encounters with Lauer back in New York City, telling Farrow, quote, it was completely transactional. It was not a relationship. At Vieira's urging, Nevils reported her ordeal to NBC executives in the fall of 2017. That was in the wake of the Harvey Weinstein scandal.
And People has also reached out to reps for Vieira and Farrow for comment. In a statement read on air Wednesday on the Today Show, NBC News said this: Matt Lauer's conduct was appalling, horrific, and reprehensible, as we said at the time. That's why he was fired within 24 hours of us first learning of the complaint. Our hearts break again for our colleague.
Women have also anonymously accused Lauer of sexual harassment and assault in reports previously published by Variety and the New York Times. Lauer joined NBC in 1992 as a newsreader on Today and had been co-anchor of the morning show since January of 1997.
Lauer and his longtime wife, Annette Roque, separated after his firing. Their divorce was finalized in September. A source told People at the time they are both focused on their 3 children.
All right, we move on to this. In this week's issue of People, we are spotlighting a number of remarkable women changing the world. Oprah Winfrey is, of course, not surprisingly one of them. In this week's People Cover story, she opens up about the moments that changed her life. One of her biggest turning points was when she decided to swear off sensationalist TV in 1989 after 2 pivotal episodes of her talk show. One of those about KKK skinheads, the other featuring a man, his wife, and his mistress. Making that decision was an enormous risk because the shock TV business was booming at the time. Morton Downey Jr. and Geraldo Rivera were getting ratings with their sensationalist shows, and Jerry Springer and Jenny Jones would soon join them. Oprah remembers how fights broke out repeatedly during that KKK skinhead show. One guest even kicked out for profanity. Oprah also remembers the infidelity episode, which her producers thought at the time was one of the greatest bookings they could ever get, until the man told his wife on live TV there was nothing she could do about his affair since his mistress was pregnant. Oprah considers those episodes as 2 of her greatest shames, but shames that made her shift. She explains, quote, "I say this to people all the time. Nothing is waste. There is not a moment that you can have that can't turn out to be useful later in life." Another big life moment for Oprah was when she decided not to marry or have children. She met Stedman Graham, an author and business consultant, at a charity event in 1986. And after 6 years of dating, the couple announced their engagement, and we even had them on our cover to celebrate the whole thing. But fans, they waited and waited for a fantasy wedding that never took place. These days, Oprah says she has no regrets over not getting married or having children. Oprah explains that the reason she decided not to get married was because she believes Graham is a traditional man, but because of her workload, her relationship with him was untraditional. If they got married, she feels she would have had to play by the rules of marriage. And Oprah reveals both she and Stedman agree if they had married, they would no longer be together. As far as kids go, Oprah admits that she just doesn't have the ability to compartmentalize the way that she sees other women do it. Later in the show, we'll be taking an in-depth look at the moments that changed Oprah's life and some of the other women changing the world in this week's issue. Stick around for that.
I just love Oprah,
Absolutely.
right?
Such
so
great perspective,
inspiring.
yeah.
And in honor of Oprah gracing this week's cover, we want to see your favorite Oprah gifts. Send them in using the hashtag #PeopleNow for the chance to see them on the show.
We're going to check in on those in just a little bit, but for now, we switch gears to this. Bernie Sanders' daughter-in-law, Rainè Riggs, has died at the age of 46, just 2 days after being diagnosed with neuroendocrine cancer. Her family says that Riggs, who was married to Sanders' son Levi, had fallen ill 3 weeks ago, but her condition left doctors stumped. It wasn't until last week that she returned home to the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center where she learned of her cancer diagnosis. And according to the family, in a heartbreaking moment near the end, she told her 3 kids, quote, she was so sorry that she got sick. The family also writes in Riggs' obituary that they promised her they would go on, adding, quote, "We promised to love her children every day as if they were our own. We promised to take them on great adventures, to take as many pictures as we could, to live every day as if it were the last, to share in their heartaches and celebrate their achievements. We promised this to her, and so we will do it, and hopefully every day the pain will become a little less. It is what she wanted." That was their statement. Representatives for Senator Sanders did not immediately respond to People's request for comment. Riggs' passing comes after a particularly difficult time for the Sanders family. Last Tuesday night, the 78-year-old presidential candidate was admitted to a Nevada hospital and had 2 stents inserted after having a heart attack while on the campaign trail. On Friday, after leaving the hospital, Sanders tweeted his thanks to the doctors, nurses, and staff at the Desert Springs Hospital Medical Center for the excellent care they provided, saying that he looked forward to getting back to work. Now, in a separate video, he and his wife Jane thanked everyone who sent their well wishes, promising to see them soon on the campaign trail. Well, when Beyoncé and Solange Knowles' father, Mathew Knowles, noticed a speck of blood on his white T-shirt in July, he didn't think anything of it. Knowles says that his initial reaction was, maybe I worked out too hard, or maybe it's some kind of reaction to my medication. As the bleeding persisted, though, he knew that something was wrong and he needed to get to the doctor. It's lucky he did, because bleeding from the nipple is a symptom of breast cancer, and a mammogram and biopsy showed that he had stage 1A breast cancer, a reality that 67-year-old Knowles says he never imagined. After finding out that he had a BRCA2 gene mutation, Knowles urged both his daughters to be tested. These mutations increase the risk of breast cancer, and they can be inherited. Knowles had a mastectomy to remove his right breast in July, and he plans to have his left breast removed as a preventative measure in January. Now, today, Knowles is cancer-free, but he's realistic about the risk that it could come back. He's become an advocate of early detection and says he wants to take away the stigma of shame, the stigma that men have to be tough. It's one of those things, Andrea, where it's not necessarily expected. We just recently had Elizabeth Hurley here talking about breast cancer and how men are affected as well. I think the stats are male breast cancer affects roughly 1 in 800 men.
Is really high, and a lot of people don't think about that. Obviously, it's a lot lower than female breast cancer, but it definitely happens.
And now with him and that family as high profile as they are, I'm sure this is going to shed so much more light on it, and a reminder to men that, hey, this is something you have to pay attention to your body, go to the doctor, don't depend on anyone else to do it for you.
Yeah, and I applaud him for helping break that stigma.
We wish him all the best. Let's move on to this, guys. Jenna Dewan opening up about life after her divorce from Channing Tatum, who she was married to for nearly 9 years. After going through their split, Dewan says that she's a lot stronger than she ever thought, but admits that it was difficult at first and it gutted her. She tells us in this week's issue, quote, "It was the loss of an idealistic future for myself and my life. What does that now look like for me? Where do I begin? I met him when I was 24. I didn't know life without Chan." But looking back, she says that her separation from Tatum was natural.
When you're together for a long time, and people grow and they change and they don't always grow together, and that's okay.
Dewan knows firsthand that life can change for the better when you least expect it. After going through her divorce and recalibrating her life, the actress and dancer is now happier than she ever expected. At 38 years old, Jenna has found a new love with actor Steve Kazee, and they're now expecting their first child together. After coming out of what she calls a grief tunnel, Jenna connected with Steve, who became one of her most unexpected blessings. Watch.
Steve is the best, most magical thing that's come into my life. He's amazing, and yeah, you know, it's new and it's fresh and it's starting over, and beginning again is always intimidating until then it's happening, and I could not be happier. So that's great. What was our first date? That's a really good question. It was like we went out for a coffee, I think it was, and it ended up being like 10 hours long. We just started talking, and then I think we spoke on the phone, and it was like hours long. It was like an immediate connection. It's really cool. I knew it was special from the beginning. Like the moment I set eyes on him, I knew it was special. And then we spoke, and it was as if we had known each other for years.
Dewan's new baby will be her second child and Kazee's first. Meanwhile, Dewan and Tatum share their 6-year-old daughter Everly together, who's super excited to be a big sister.
She is thrilled. She is the happiest in the entire world. She is wearing her proud "I'm a big sister" ribbon everywhere. She loves it. She can't stop. Everywhere we go, she pulls up my shirt and she shows people. She's like, "My mom has a baby in her belly. I'm gonna be a big sister." And then she's like, "Touch it." And they're all like, "We're good."
So adorable, and Everly remains her parents' #1 priority despite all the changes their split brought on. Even though it hasn't been easy, they're working through it, and Dewan tells people, quote, "We're all aware that it's a new normal. We're all getting used to it. You can still have a relationship, and just because the forms change as to who you are to each other, it doesn't take away from the love that we had or that we shared all those years." Well, now she's busier than ever with her work, starring in the new Netflix dance series Soundtrack and hosting Fox's new dance-themed dating show, Flirty Dance. Can't wait for that. Plus, she has a wellness book coming called Gracefully You, How to Live Your Best Life Every Day. In the book, Dewan discusses her strength and shares her tips on how to be open and mindful. She hopes sharing her journey will help others in similar situations. She explains, quote, "It wasn't easy necessarily to get here, which nothing is easy in life, right? I had to put in the work. This doesn't just happen overnight, but just know that it's possible and your perspective on life can change. It can change for the better and you'll be fine." That's her quote. I'm remembering that. I like it. It's a good inspirational quote. Jenna's book, Gracefully You, hits bookshelves on October 22nd. Now, Andrea Boehlke, you have more for us in Star Treks.
Yes, I do. We are kicking off Star Treks today with some fall fashion fit for royalty. Kate Middleton is enjoying autumn sweater weather. The royal mom paid a visit to the Natural History Museum on Wednesday in an earthy toned ensemble. Kate became a patron of the museum in 2013 and visited to learn how it's helping to protect wildlife in the UK. She embraced fall hues in a burgundy scalloped neckline sweater and matching deep purple Chanel purse, finishing the look with some green khaki pants from one of her favorite brands, Jigsaw, which is actually where Kate worked as an accessories buyer while dating Prince William. A little fun fact there. Kate's sister-in-law, Meghan Markle, is also a fan of the British retailer. Meghan recently wore Jigsaw trousers to unveil her charity capsule collection for SmartWorks, which includes those very trousers. During Kate's visit to the museum, she viewed some of the specimens and DNA sequencing in action, which is done to identify tiny insects and microorganisms playing a part in the environment. Nature is very important to Kate. She loves spending time outside with her 3 children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, and always speaks very highly of the positive effect that the outdoors can have on physical and mental health. In announcing her support for the UK-wide campaign Backyard Nature, Kate said, quote, "Spending time in nature can play a pivotal role in helping children grow up to become happy, healthy adults." All right, Gwen Stefani is feeling extra thankful for her boyfriend Blake Shelton as they approach their 4-year anniversary of dating next month. In her cover story for Shape's November issue, the singer opens up about how her relationship has been healing ever since she and Blake fell for each other on the set of The Voice in 2015, following both of their respective divorces. She says, "I feel as if I spent the last 4 years healing, trying to build my life again. Having a best friend like Blake to help me do that has been one of the greatest gifts." Gwen goes on to say that splitting time between Los Angeles, where she and Blake are currently filming filming season 17 of The Voice, and Blake's Oklahoma ranch is something she never saw coming. The 50-year-old explains that she was raised in an ordinary California home, but, quote, now I get to travel the world. And spending time in the middle of America on Blake's ranch, that's something I didn't expect. The way we live at the ranch is really simple. There are watermelons that Blake planted and all my wildflowers. It's a nice contrast to LA, although I do keep 20 chickens in the backyard here at home too. Farm there. Gwen is also very busy performing her Las Vegas residency at the Zappos Theater through November 2nd and says she's all about balance these days. Gwen reveals, I love having projects, but I also love to be in my bed and have downtime. I love to know that I don't have the guilt of being so busy that I miss out on taking my kids to school. She goes on to say that balance is the hardest thing, but it's also the most important, adding, it seems like with your career, you have to keep swimming, keep moving, or else you're gonna look back and go, shoot, it's over. I don't like feeling like that. I want to do creative things when I want, and I want to stop chasing all the time. It's hard, but I'm really enjoying being in the moment. We love that. All right, Ray and Carly Pearce tied the knot on Sunday in an earthy, whimsical, and romantic ceremony just outside of Nashville. Now, the plan was to have a beautiful outdoor ceremony under a canopy of trees, but when the first rainstorm to hit the area in weeks decided to arrive on Sunday, Carly contacted the venue, Drakewood Farm, and decided that the ceremony would be moved into one of the charming barns instead. So she tells us, honestly, it was more magical and way more romantic than I think it would have been outside. And her new husband, Michael, agrees, saying the rain actually enhanced it, I think. It was an old barn from the 1850s. We had all of our family there, and with the rain falling, it made it a little more magical. Yeah, I could kind of see that.
Like,
yeah.
More intimate, yeah.
And so the wedding went off without a hitch indoors. We were very happy for these two. We've gotten to know them through interviews on red carpets. You can always tell how much they love each other. They're very cute, okay? We're wishing them all the best as they navigate their newlywed life. And they opened up to People exclusively about what their hopes are for the next 50 years.
I hope that we can look back on our life and be proud of the life that we built and proud of the good and bad moments that brought us there. We are not naive to think that marriage will bring its ebbs and flows and ups and downs and things like that. But at the end of the day, I hope that in 50 years I can look at this person and love him more than I do now, which is a whole lot.
Same. I hope that, I hope 50 years, like you said, we're looking back on a life created together, a family, and I hope that we inspire still. What we do for a living isn't the easiest. Just hope that in 50 years, hopefully there'll be another country couple that hopefully looks at our story and sees that through it all, we still kept each other first and hold something very dear to both of us, and that is, our marriage.
Cute couple, cute videos, but I would not want cake on my face.
The way
right?
he gracefully accepted that tells you all you need to know.
Can you imagine if he
great
put some on her face?
Oh, man. He should have,
Yeah,
honestly, in fairness.
The entire wedding was a musical affair. How could it not be with these two talented artists? The ceremony was officiated by Bill Cody, a country radio DJ and announcer at Nashville's Grand Ole Opry. Jake Owen serenaded the couple for their first dance with Made For You, a romantic ballad off his latest album. Now, Michael revealed how he went about asking Jake to sing for their wedding. Take a look.
He came up on the bus and we were talking. I was like, hey man, so Carly and I our first dance is gonna be Made For You. And he was like, he like freaked out. He's like, are you serious, man? He's like, man, it's such an honor. And then I was like, do I go in on this? Like, do I ask my friend to work on his day off and come to my wedding and, hey, bring a guitar? Because I feel like that's it follows every sentence when you do it. We do, hey man, you want to come bring your guitar? And so I don't know how it came about, but I was like, man, it'd be cool if you could, if you're off that day. It happens to be told him the date, and he immediately went to his calendar. He's like, I'm in. I would love to. And he's like, I've never been a wedding singer before. So it all worked, and to see his enthusiasm, for us and for him to be a part of it. And it's such a big moment. It's your first dance as husband and wife, and to have that intimate setting and with Jake singing it, such a great singer and artist, and just really cool that I was excited and he was excited, and it all just really came together kind of naturally. So.
It all worked out. Well, because of touring schedules, the couple will wait until December for their honeymoon at Sandals Resort in Jamaica, where an over-the-water bungalow has been reserved. In the meantime, they're joyfully getting used to calling each other husband and wife. Carly says, I didn't think that I could possibly love this person more, but this weekend, I feel like we got to reconnect and got to grow together at a deeper level of commitment. For more on the country couple's big day, check out Carly and Michael's wedding special exclusively on PeopleTV. And those are your Star Treks for today. Well, the Christmas lights are switching on earlier than ever this year. We've got just the thing to get you in the spirit. Over 1,000 hours of Yuletide programming only on Lifetime.
Yeah, with that much good TV, you're going to need a little help keeping it all straight, which brings me to this week's issue of People on Newsstands Friday. You open up the cover and you've got, get this, a second festive cover introducing all the holiday cheer that Lifetime has in store for us this season.
Yes,
check it out.
On the green page, there's a full calendar of the new Lifetime holiday movie premieres, so mark your calendar for those.
There you go. Then you can fold the page out for a spotlight on 8 of those movies starring Melissa Joan Hart, our favorite, Kelly Rowland, Marie Osmond, Tia Mowry, and so many more. Look at that.
On top of that, we'll have weekly segments here on People Now called Holiday Every Day that will focus on traditions, travel tips, food, and more during the holiday season. It all kicks off next week. Treat every day like Christmas with 24/7 holiday movies. It's a Wonderful Lifetime starts October 25th and lasts all season long.
All right, stay with us. Andi Dorfman is trading in roses for running sneakers. That's right. The former Bachelorette will be here live to tell us about her journey to the TCS New York City Marathon. Plus, Taraji P Henson on a mission inspired by her son and her late father. She's going to tell us all about that in just a bit. Stick around.
All right, now watch this.
You thought Marriage Boot Camp Family Edition had seen it all.
Mother wants her daughter to be a whore. What?
But it's never seen pain,
I was abused by a pedophile.
problems,
The pop star always wins.
Do you remember that?
and personas like this.
Go there, I'm gonna call my attorney.
Activist and former child star Corey Feldman stars in the latest installment of WeTV's Marriage Boot Camp Family Edition, where he opens up about his past abuse and works to mend his relationship with his brother. Also starring on the show is Aaron Carter, who appears with his mother, Jane. Aaron has faced some turmoil recently with the news that his brother, Nick, filed a restraining order against him.
Yeah, Corey sat down with us and revealed he and Aaron formed a close bond during the filming of the show and was aware of the trauma Aaron had been working through. But he does admit that he finds it shocking with how all of Aaron's troubles are coming to light publicly. Take a listen.
It's unfortunate in the way that it's come out because it's not obviously the healthiest way to just kind of start throwing all of your dirt out there or whatever. So I feel bad for him. I did reach out to him to kind of, let him know that I'm there for him if he needs me. He unfortunately has not gotten back to me, but that's kind of the way he's been. I mean, unfortunately, we were very close during the show and then he just kind of took off and I didn't hear from him again. So I feel like, it's self-destructive behavior, and unfortunately, when you've been abused in many ways, that is one of the, side reactions is that you end up becoming very self-destructive. It's a downside of the abuse. He's been abused and that he's had abuse in his life. Those are things that he confided to us, and I knew that he needed to somehow deal with them, but I didn't think that, kind of throwing it out there to the world was the right way to do it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I wish that he had kind of done it in a healthier way. But I think it's healthy what he's doing in the sense that he needs to get it out, and he should do what he needs to do to get it out. So I would just encourage him to kind of formulate doing that in the right way instead of just throwing it out there. But look, who am I to say? It's his recovery and it's his life, and I want him to be happy at the end of the day. I don't have any ill feelings towards him. I just want him to find his place of peace and love in his heart so that he doesn't have to suffer.
Corey's been making the rounds and doing a lot of interviews, and Aaron has responded to Corey, making statements about his recent behavior. This is not directly associated with our interview, but here's what Aaron tweeted. Quote, "Corey Feldman, you're a bleep, fraud, and a fake. I'm not a pushover little bleep. I don't need reality TV. Reality TV needs me. This joker literally stole money using GoFundMe from his fans and didn't expose bleep. Corey, we got an issue."
Ooh, well, we haven't had the opportunity to get Corey's response to Aaron's tweet quite yet. Corey also reveals to us in our interview he was surprised when he heard that Nick had filed a restraining order against Aaron.
He also revealed to us that he still hasn't finished watching Leaving Neverland, the documentary that focuses on the alleged abuse by Corey's mentor and friend, Michael Jackson. But he shared some thoughts on where he's at with Michael's side and the alleged victims. Take a listen.
Yeah, no, I didn't watch any more of it than that. Yeah. But I mean, I don't really want to go into that because it's a sensitive subject and I've covered it. Yeah. But I will just say that I remain in a neutral position on that because, again, all alleged victims need to be heard no matter what. So they need to have a voice. And my personal feelings on it really don't make a difference. What really makes a difference is, what happened between the people that were in those rooms. And again, I wish nothing but obviously the best for all parties involved.
And we'll have more from our interview with Corey on Friday. He talks about what happened on Marriage Boot Camp Family Edition and how he's working to lend voices to victims of abuse.
All right, guys, moving on to this. The incomparable Oprah Winfrey graces this week's People cover, Women Changing the World. Here to join us to talk about Oprah's impactful life is People's deputy editor, Wendy Noggle. Wendy, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Great to see you.
When you think about Oprah, what comes to mind?
I mean, icon. She's amazing. She has been this person who for so long has taught us all how to live our best life. But in addition to that, she leads by example. You know, she founded her school in South Africa and now has educated more than 1,000 girls. It's really incredible what impact she has had.
It's really remarkable. Let's talk about why she's the right choice for the cover when you consider she doesn't have the talk show, right? She's been in that way out of the spotlight for so long, yet she still has such an impact, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's been working a lot behind the scenes at OWN, but you're about to hear a lot more from her. She's going to go on a 2020 Vision Tour. It's a motivational tour. And she also has a partnership with Apple to discuss mental health issues. So I think we're going to see a big year for her in 2020. Excuse me.
Yeah, right. We look forward to that.
Yeah, and the magazine highlights the 5 moments in her life that kind of changed her. When you look at those 5 moments, which one stands out to you as most fascinating or surprising?
I don't know if I can pick one. There are so many. You know, she talks when she was younger that she had this idea that she wouldn't live to be 57. And she thought she could see herself being 400 pounds with diabetes, and this really hung over her. And so she thought a pivotal moment was when she moved from Milwaukee to Tennessee. So that was a key moment. Another one was when, in 1989, she really decided to stop doing sensational TV. It became something that was a controversial decision. She got a lot of pressure from the affiliate networks, but she had a moment where she had some KKK people on the show, and that was a turning point, as well as another episode where a man and his wife came on along with his mistress. And in the middle of that segment, he surprised his wife by saying his mistress was pregnant.
Right.
And she just had this feeling that she never wanted to do that again.
Yeah, we talked some about that a little earlier, and that at that time was controversial. Turns out to be the way she stood out from the crowd of other talk shows and just being a little more wholesome and having better conversations about things. We now know that. She also talks about the age she thought she'd never see and the choice not to marry and not have children. Talk to us some about that.
So this was a really interesting part of the interview for me. She made a conscious decision to not marry Stedman. And this was even after People magazine announced their engagement on our cover. She told us, like, that was a lot of pressure for her. And
the engagement was real. Those were all legit things.
And they've been so committed to each other. But what she realized is he's a traditional guy. She had some real expectations about what the role of a wife would be. And that would have forever changed their relationship. She told us that they probably wouldn't be together today had they gotten married.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty interesting to hear.
Yeah, in the future, you also look at stars like athletes like Megan Rapinoe, activists like Greta Thunberg. You know, besides Oprah, who are you really excited to feature?
Oh, the list is really phenomenal. Brie Larson, you know, that's someone me and my kids cheered on when we saw her in Captain Marvel. She's the first woman to ever lead a billion-dollar franchise. It's not just that she's broken that ceiling, but she's really using her platform to increase inclusivity in Hollywood, even in the press pool that covers these kinds of films. Greta, I mean, what a year she has had. A year ago, she was sitting by herself on the steps of Swedish Parliament. And since then, she has had the largest march in the world to activate people on climate change. She's really shaking everybody by the shoulders to get them to pay attention.
She's been so active, and now here she is in People magazine as well, on top of everything else. There you go. Hey, it's so good to talk to you.
Thank you so much for
discussing this fascinating issue, guys. We're excited for everyone to check it out.
Another woman featured in this issue is actress Taraji P Henson. Taraji has done some amazing work to break the stigma surrounding mental health issues among the African American community. She explained to us the need to change how mental illness is viewed and talked about. Take a listen.
Our children are suffering, we are suffering, African Americans are dealing with 400 years of pain that we have not dealt with. And we're walking around acting like we're okay, and we're not talking about this at home because it's such a taboo, and I felt like we needed to break the silence and break the cycle. We're actually trying to normalize the conversation, because if you can talk to me about a brain tumor or breast cancer, why can't you talk to me about your mental health?
In 2018, Taraji started the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation in honor of her father, who suffered mental health challenges after serving in the Vietnam War. She shares why it was so personal and important to launch this initiative. Watch.
I felt like it was something that needed to be done. It was actually out of necessity for my son and myself. It was time for us to, seek help My son lost his father, and then my dad died 2 years after that. So young African-American young man trying to figure out who he is in the world, we needed someone to talk to.
According to the foundation's website, 1 in 5 Americans suffer from mental illness, with African Americans being the least likely population to seek treatment.
Taraji is also working to provide support to African American students with services and programs that are beneficial to the community's youth.
The foundation is in a number of schools and has been focusing on using art as inspiration in schools' bathrooms. Yes, bathrooms. And Taraji explains why.
Bathrooms are daunting for children. That's where a lot of bad things happen. Jumping, get jumped, bullied. We found children cutting themselves in school bathrooms. So we've changed the face of the bathroom. You know, there's beautiful art in there to let children remind them that they are worthy, that they are beautiful. We're trying to get therapists, competent therapists in schools that can identify a child that's dealing with trauma when they come to school. And instead of calling them special ed and putting them in a class, which is really channeling them into the prison system, we're trying to stop that. So there are a lot of things that we're trying to tackle. We need help, we need lots of money, but we're here for the long haul. We're here for change, real change.
Wow, really amazing work that she's doing. We're gonna have more interviews from more women changing the world tomorrow on People Now.
Also in this week's issue of People, the You're So Vain singer Carly Simon opens up about her unlikely friendship with Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis in her new memoir. The memoir is called Touched by the Sun, My Friendship with Jackie, and it explores their strong bond. The pop star and president's widow met in Martha's Vineyard, where Jackie's summer home was being built, and where Carly lives. The two were actually introduced by Jackie's son, JFK Jr.
Now, Jackie and Carly were 16 years apart. Carly describes Jackie as a mother figure to her. She goes on to reveal, quote, "She gave me advice. She was very old-fashioned in her beliefs." Jackie, who was an editor at Doubleday, had asked Carly to write a memoir, and that was when their friendship really started to grow. Carly proposed a children's book instead, and Amy the Dancing Bear was released in 1989. It was Carly's first book.
Jackie and Carly's relationship was special, and Jackie would gradually share her private self. At the same time, Carly knew not to talk about that horrific day in Dallas in November of 1963, revealing, quote, "Not only was JFK's assassination an iconic moment in history, it affected her in a dominating way. She was history. It was definitely off limits." But Jackie did talk about JFK. Carly says that Jackie definitely knew about his affairs, but she would brush them off because Jackie, quote, "knew he loved her more, much more."
Jackie also spoke about marrying Aristotle Onassis, the Greek shipping millionaire. Jackie would say that Onassis was very sexy and that he would sing to her on his yacht, and she knew that marrying him was a bad girl move. They wed on October 20th, 1968, and that's how she became Jackie O, one of the richest and most glamorous women in the world, overnight.
In 1993, Jackie fell ill with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, something Carly says she kept very private. She goes on to reveal she found out that Jackie was sick through others. In May of 1994, Carly was at her friend's bedside as Jackie lay there dying. Carly saying, quote, "I was holding her hand, telling her I loved her and saying goodbye."
Carly wants everyone to know that Jackie was a practical joker, kind, sharp-witted, mysterious, a radiant and luminous icon that many adored. Jackie was, quote, "a friend unlike any other." And Carly, like many of her friends in their social group, would have moments where they couldn't quite believe that Jackie was their friend. Carly never could quite lose the fan thing with her. She reveals, quote, "It was impossible. She was just too big in that way." All right, guys, let's move on to this. She has gone from Bachelor Nation to Endorphins Nation. It's a thing, and it's huge. You may know Andi Dorfman from season 18 of The Bachelor, season 10 of The Bachelorette, but now she is entering the world of health and fitness.
Yes, Andi is currently training for the TCS New York City Marathon. She's here to tell us all about that, plus her new game-changing hashtag, Endorphins. Andi, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So you ready for this?
Yeah.
Long answer, short answer, no.
Okay. The TCS New York City Marathon, one of the largest marathons. First time doing it, right?
Yeah,
so,
first time really doing any major race.
I guess like your emotions going into it at this point, because you've done a lot of prep. I sure hope.
Yes.
I know that you have.
Yeah.
Are you feeling pumped and excited for the cause? And
yeah, I'm excited. I mean, initially, there's a part of me that was terrified, and that feeling still remains. I mean, I've never done 26.2 miles, so obviously you have to respect the distance, and I think it's supposed to be a little terrifying, but overall, I'm definitely excited for it. Yeah, I'm just ready to do it now.
Why was this the year that you wanted to do it?
You know, I don't know. I had been running, and I should say that in air quotes. I had basically been walk/running. At first, it started because I was traveling so much, and so I would just pack a pair of running shoes, and it was the easiest way for me to exercise. And then it kind of slowly turned into my exercise here in New York because we've got an incredible skyline. So I would go at sunset. And New York Roadrunners called me this year, and they had picked up that I'd been running a lot and asked me to do the marathon. And I don't know, for some reason, I just said, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
You've been doing the training. Do you have a running goal for the marathon?
To finish, for sure. With everything intact. You know, I haven't quite set a goal yet because I don't want to be disappointed. I've been training really hard. I got an amazing opportunity to do the marathon. I know that people have to, you know, either qualify for it or have to do a ton of stuff. And so I feel like I've put in a ton of work, and I don't want to be disappointed by putting a certain number on it.
Well, and of course, there's that accountability because the fans are following you. You've been posting on social media. People have been tracking along. The endorphins, it's there. Talk about just what that means to you to have that fan base kind of rooting along the way.
Yeah, so I'll explain it a little bit. Basically, I was Instagram storying every time I was running, and people would start to catch on, and they'd be sending me their own running videos. And so I put it out there to all the followers. I said, you know what, let's share this with everybody so that we can have a hashtag to click on, which is really the way that hashtags should be used. That you should be able to click on it, and it's a community. And so I put it out to all the followers. We voted on endorphins, and that's what stuck.
I love it.
Everybody has just been
clever.
It's cool,
it's catchy.
And now people are using it to share their stories with you. Has there been one recently that kind of sticks out to you?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. Honestly, I will say the coolest thing is just clicking on the hashtag endorphins and seeing so many people from literally all over the world running. And the best part about it for me is I know, like, I've been in the social media world for a while now. I know how it's got its ups and downs. This is just such a cool, positive community. Everyone's out there cheering each other on via Instagram. People are running with pushing strollers, they're running with no makeup on, and they're posting it, and they're feeling confident and good about it.
I was going to say, in a time where social media can be very negative, this is actually a really positive, cool thing.
Yeah, it's great. And it's been awesome. I'm just super overwhelmed and surprised by the response.
Also launched this limited line of merchandise to benefit the organization Girls on the Run.
Yeah.
Why was that the organization you wanted to help?
I knew I wanted to help a charity out. Obviously, like, I'm not just running this marathon for myself and for followers. I wanted there to be a charitable aspect. And I really thought hard about a charity that kind of was in line to what I was doing. Girls on the Run fit it perfectly. They basically do a course after school where they teach girls all about self-confidence, body confidence, things related to education, health, well-being, and they do it while they train them for a 5K. And so for me, I think I started this marathon process thinking like, oh, I'm just going to train my body to run 26.2 miles. And what I found out was I've trained my body and my mind for a lot more. And that's pretty much exactly what Girls on the Run does.
I love that.
Wow,
That's great.
yeah, that's really cool. Also, let's just talk about the training. What does it look like right now? How many miles are you running straight?
Brutal. I'm just not gonna lie, it is brutal training.
I can't imagine. Honestly, I can barely run a few miles. I also did like pull my glute muscle walking. Actually, I was playing softball. But.
I mean, the thing is, I started the same way where I'm like, yep, I can run 2 miles and then I'm done. And I get people all the time be like, I can barely run a mile. I was definitely that person.
You did 20 though now.
Yeah, as I say, the longest I ran was just this past weekend, which was 20 miles. If you asked me a month ago if I could ever run 20 miles, I would have looked at you like you were crazy.
Yeah, you did it.
Yeah.
What tips, I mean, what have you learned, I guess, in order to make it work? What tips for other runners?
It takes time. Like, you do have to invest the time and build up the tolerance and build up your endurance in order to run. You can't just go out and expect yourself to run 20 miles.
No, right.
There's no amount of determination that can make you run 20 miles without having run any in the past.
Yeah.
Taking care of your body has been a big thing. And for me, it's just been a lot about like accepting the little accomplishments along the way. So yeah, it was 20 miles. It started with 1 and then it built up to 5. And
do you
10,
feel
15.
so fit right now?
I do, yeah.
I'll bet, right?
And you look really fit on Instagram too.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm the fittest I've ever been.
Yeah.
Is there a running playlist? Are there certain artists that you just jam out to?
Yeah, Lizzo's #1 right now for sure. I actually been jamming out to Taylor Swift's new album, the entire thing. It's funny because there's some upbeat songs and there's some like lower melancholy songs, but they're great for running.
You kind of need the melancholy every now and then, right? Just you have to appreciate the lows so you can appreciate the endorphin highs. Yeah. All right, that was my joke. What about the diet? What's that look like for you?
The diet's pretty good. I eat healthy anyways, but I will say it's been kind of fun because when you run 20 miles, you pretty much can eat whatever you want after.
Yeah.
So Instagram story the other day.
Carb load and everything.
Yeah, carb load is my favorite new word. But after 20 miles, I went and got a big fat cheeseburger and had no qualms about it.
And what's the biggest thing you've learned about yourself through this journey?
I've learned that I can actually accomplish things that I never thought were possible. I mean, I obviously went on TV and wrote a few books, but this has been something that like physically and mentally has been the hardest thing I've ever done, and I never thought I could do it until now.
Well, turns out Tyler Cameron from season 23 of The Bachelorette, also running in the marathon. You teamed up with Tyler in August to support the ABC food tours. He's doing so much with that. I see it on his social all the time.
Great, yeah.
Such a great cause. Around 200 runners showed up. How did that collaboration kind of come about?
Well, obviously Tyler's from Bachelor Nation, but more so, we both went to Wake Forest. He moved to New York, and we got in touch. He's obviously running the marathon, and he asked me to come out for the group. I was like, yeah.
You didn't know him before from Wake Forest, though.
No, I didn't. I'm a little older, which he likes to rub in my face.
It's so funny because there are pictures of you posted because you guys know each other and are hanging out. And of course, Bachelor Nation went crazy.
Oh, I know.
Andi and Tyler thing. What do you make of people trying to ship you two?
Oh, I don't think they ship us anymore. I think the Gigi Hadid rumors put that to rest. And then, I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm in the clear on this one. No, it's funny how that spins, but it is what it is. I get it. I've been in reality TV. I know Bachelor Nation.
You can't even be photographed with somebody without people making it a thing.
Yeah, I mean, you could be photographed with less, worse looking people.
That is true.
What is your dating strategy at this phase?
Oh,
here we go.
Here we go.
But
you're single, right?
Yeah, I'm single.
But at this phase, you've done the show thing and whatever, and you're out there. You're your own independent woman doing your thing. So how does that work?
I kind of love the single life right now. I'm not gonna lie. People are like, "Why are you single?" And I joke, it's a woman's right to choose, but it's true.
It is.
I enjoy being single. Like I enjoy being able to do what I want and investing time into running a marathon or traveling with my girlfriends, whatever I want to do. So I think I'm waiting until the right time.
Yeah.
We've always loved tracking along. Read your books about dating, especially when you moved to New York. You were recently on Watch What Happens Live, where you couldn't really name a few nice things about your ex, Josh Murray. And you also dated Juan Pablo. I mean, you have a bad track record here. What are the red flags that you now look out for when you're looking for a partner?
I mean, control issues, obviously, on a serious level. On a joking level, probably reality TV.
Yeah.
I'm just going to steer clear of any guy on reality TV.
Yeah.
Maybe someone with a normal job, not on Bachelor in Paradise.
Can we get your take on the new Bachelor pick, Peter the pilot?
Oh, I like him.
Yeah.
I feel like he seems like a nice guy. I feel like he's perfect package material. I mean,
He does seem
good-looking
that way,
kid,
right?
pilot, like,
Can fly you around the world.
Yeah.
Was he your choice, or were you hoping it was someone else?
I mean, I wasn't going on the show, so I didn't really have any choice per se, but I think he's a great person. Yeah, I think he's great for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people, I think, wanted Mike or even Derek.
We might have been really on the mic train.
Oh, yeah?
You know what? Now we have
I
Peter.
liked Mike, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for a little game of Confess Sesh? People now, Confess Sesh. It's real crazy.
Yeah, what do we
You
do?
just pick out a question and you answer it. And as honest as you can be. You ready? Here we go.
Oh, this is pretty easy. What's one thing you wish you knew when you were younger that you know now? That everything I think is going to happen in my life probably won't.
Oh, okay.
In a good way.
In a good way, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you were more like pessimistic about?
No, I just thought like, oh, I'm going to be married at 25 with 3 kids and the white picket fence and the dog. And you know what? That didn't happen, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is good advice.
Don't stress
really
about
good
it.
advice.
Yeah, you can do another one.
Okay. Oh, God.
Oh, there's more. You thought that was it.
I was
You're
like,
I got out really easy here.
I got off easy.
These aren't hard.
All right. What is your go-to cheat meal? Oh, that's a good one. I did this Sunday night. Late night Magnolia Bakery cupcakes.
Oh, perfect. And yeah, like you said, you're
loading.
running so much. It's like you just like take everything on the menu.
All right. Let's see.
I can't stop thinking about Magnolia. Right?
What's your
So good.
What's your favorite show to binge watch? Real Housewives.
Yeah, which city? You
All
have
of them.
all of them?
All
Okay.
of them. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
All right, one more. Would you ever do Real Housewives?
No. I think I'm too boring for it. They're disasters in the best way possible. If you could redo your Bachelorette season differently, would you? I would like to say yes because of the way it worked out, but honestly, if I had to do it over again, and I think about this often, I think it would have turned out the exact same way.
Yeah. What do fans say to you most often about your season?
Oh, they're like, were you really in love? I'm like, yeah, I got engaged. Of course I was really in love.
You meant it.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
you know, and I wrote about that in the book.
I think it is wild that people are still pretty surprised. I guess maybe I like fall in that category as well. Like, is it real love or whatever? But people are, I don't know, interested to hear that real love exists on a show.
Yeah, it doesn't
I believe it.
out, but
Attractive people.
Yeah. All right,
distractions.
Sorry, they're wrapping us up. I would like to just keep talking about Bachelor all day. Thank you for being here.
Thanks
you.
Guys, to follow Andi's fitness journey, you can follow her at Andi_Dorfman on Instagram. And for information about the New York Marathon happening on Sunday, November 3rd, you can visit www.nyrr.org.
That's very exciting. All right, we're taking a look at our question of the day. We've been asking you to send your favorite Oprah gifts in honor of her People cover story. Let's take a look.
You get a car, you get a car.
That one's coming.
I want to see I love bread. I am Oprah.
Okay. Are we getting the bread one? Deal with it. That one's great too.
Wait, what about? Well, we didn't get the bread one, and there's also how Oprah says everyone's name, right?
Yeah.
Which I don't know if there's like
Andrea.
Yeah,
but it's a gift, so you can't really.
Got it.
Hear it.
All right, we're going to be
All
asking a new question of the day tomorrow, and people now tune in for that. Also coming up tomorrow, we're joined live by actress Penelope Ann Miller. She stars in Lifetime's college admission scandal. We all know what that's about. We can't wait to talk about it.
Plus, Lauren Ash is here talking about season 5 of the hit sitcom Superstore. We love Lauren Ash. Thanks for watching. For now, we leave you with one last thing from The Good Place star, William Jackson Harper. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Hi, I'm William Jackson Harper from The Good Place, and this is one last thing. My last good deed was I actually bought a sandwich for a guy who asked on the way back home. Last show I binged watched was Fleabag, which won all the things and deserves to win all the things.
I'm just gonna ask her. I'm just gonna come.
Do you need to borrow money?
No. Can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it.
The last celeb I texted was actually the cast of The Good Place. We're on a huge text chain, and we just send all sorts of goofiness to each other.